Hi everyone, welcome back to this series of videos on Ind AS, that is Ind AS with Accountsman. So in today's lecture, we'll be continuing our Ind AS discussion, and in today's lecture, the discussion will be regarding to Ind AS 37, which deals with provisions, contingent liabilities and contingent assets. Ind AS 37, which deals with provisions, contingent liabilities and contingent assets. So that's the discussion in this particular video. Okay, as we've been doing throughout in this series of videos, whenever we take up a standard, we're basically running through these questions as to what is this, why, how and when, and that's what we've been questioning, and that's how we're dealing with the scope, applicability, non-applicability, recognition, measurement, disclosure, presentation and everything. So that's how we'll see this standard as well. So let us start with the first question. What exactly is this standard all about? Yeah, so we have three things to discuss. First part is provision, second part is contingent liabilities, and third part is contingent assets. So what I am trying to tell you here is, we'll discuss this provision little later. See, I can't introduce the concept of provision to you without making you understand the concept of contingency or contingent liability. So we'll keep provision on hold, finish contingent liability, contingent assets, and then come back to see provision, and that will be the end of our entire discussion with regard to Ind AS 37. So our first discussion will be with regard to contingent liabilities and contingent assets. And now we are trying to understand what exactly do we mean by contingent liability and contingent asset. And if you can observe, one thing that's common between contingent liability and contingent assets is the word contingent. So we've been discussing this asset and liability definition ever since we started Ind AS discussion. So all we need to do now is understand the significance of the word contingency here. Once we understand the word contingency, then we can add asset to it, then we can add liability to it to understand it better. So I will keep my initial discussion to the word contingency. What exactly do we mean by contingency? Contingency is basically dependence on two things, either occurrence or non-occurrence. So contingency is being dependent on occurrence or non-occurrence of an act which is future. It is not in the present. It is about something that's going to be happening or non happening in the future, and that's something we are not sure, something which we are not certain, and something which is not in our control as well. Not controllable. Yeah. So contingency is an event dependent on occurrence or non-occurrence of future, uncertain and uncontrollable act. Now example. Now assume that you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you want to marry them. This girlfriend or a boyfriend is not wife or husband. This girlfriend or boyfriend can go down to become husband or can go down to become wife. Now they becoming wife or husband is dependent upon happening or non-happening of what? Happening of the marriage or not happening of breakup. So it is dependent on happening or non-happening of marriage. And this marriage is an event which is going to happen in the future, and either of the parties are not very sure of it, and thirdly it is not in their control, it's in their parents' control. So a girlfriend becoming a wife or a boyfriend becoming a husband is a contingent event that is dependent on marriage, which is what is a future, uncertain and uncontrollable. If it happens, then that girlfriend becomes wife. If it happens, that boyfriend becomes husband. So it is no more contingent, then it is actual. So let's talk about accounts now. Now in certain examples, what can happen? So you are expecting some inflow or expecting some outflow based on certain things. There is someone contract which there is a conflict. You don't know whether you are supposed to receive money or not from that contract. So you taken that particular contract to the court of law or something, where depending upon the judgment you might have to receive money or you might not have to receive money. So the judgment will decide whether you should receive money or not. Now this is an event, it is contingency, it is dependent on happening, non-happening, happening or occurrence, case going in your favor, non-occurrence, case not going in your favor, and that is based on the judgment. That judgment is going to come in the future, and that judgment you are not sure about it, uncertain, and you cannot control that judgment, so uncontrollable. So that is contingency. A court case pending, the legal suit pending in the court of law is a contingency. If that results in the inflow of the cash to you, it is a contingent asset. If it doesn't result in the inflow of the cash to you, it is not a contingent asset. If it results in outflow of the cash to you, it becomes a contingent liability. If the judgment comes, that contingent liability will become liability, or that contingent asset will become asset. You get that? So now we understood the word contingency. Now I am trying to explain the word contingent asset and contingent liability to you. Yeah, let us go ahead. Contingent event. So such contingent event results in inflow, outflow. When such contingent event results in inflow, then what is it? It is contingent asset. It would lead to contingent asset. If that contingent event would result in outflow, then it would be contingent liability. Yeah, so an occurrence or non-occurrence of an event which is basically future, uncertain and uncontrollable. As I mentioned here, future, uncertain and uncontrollable. If it leads to inflow, it is contingent asset. If it leads to outflow, it is contingent liability. Now we can take this discussion ahead from the term contingent asset and contingent liability. But I have this small discussion here which I want to do, basically because the question is about, are you people aware of what exactly do we mean by asset, and are you people aware what exactly do we mean by liability? That's my small question. Yeah, so let us discuss that. So the first one, asset, and the latter one, liability. We've been using these words throughout, in and out, during our entire India's discussion, but I hope you people are aware. I've discussed this in multiple standards, but I'll do it once again. What exactly do we mean by asset? Asset refers to resource. Should there be ownership? No, there should be control. So there is no requirement of ownership. If you have ownership, then good. But is it a condition that you have ownership? No. It should be a resource and it should be controlled by the entity. Yeah, we're going to have a very in detailed discussion about this. What is it controlled by the entity and not ownership when we start our Ind AS 116, that is leases. There's something called as right to use the asset is the, what to say, even though you don't own the asset, when you have the right to use the asset, then it will become, what to say, asset to you. Right to use it is something like asset and it will be recorded in your book. Substance over form and everything else will come into picture. Leases, we'll discuss that there. So when is it called as an asset? When it is a resource and when it is controlled by the entity. And more importantly, it should be arising because of a past event. It should arise because of a past event and it should have, what do you say, gives future economic benefit. Future economic benefit, and this is when we call it an asset. And this is not the first time I am discussing this specific point to you. I have discussed this at multiple scenarios previously. Now what exactly is liability? Liability is present obligation. It's an obligation in the present, arises because of past event. So asset and liability are opposite to each other. A past event resulting in a future or present economic inflow, economic benefit, is asset, or past event leading to a present obligation is a liability. Okay, settlement Settlement cannot be made otherwise than cash. Settlement basically needs outflow. Okay, settlement results in outflow. This is a liability. So it's a present obligation that arises because of a past event. Settlement results in outflow. And in this definition of our liability, we've been using this word obligation. Correct or not? Now let me define the term obligation to you. See, this would be your last opportunity to know this difference, know these meanings. You would never get an opportunity again to know it. So it's better to know it now. So obligation. Obligation can be basically categorized into two. One is it can be either called as legal obligation or it can be called as constructive obligation. Now what do you mean by legal obligation? Legal obligation is an obligation which will arise because of the law in force, as the name says, or you entered into a specific contract and that contract is binding you to binding you specifically to execute certain obligations or do some work. So that is again legal obligation. So legal obligation is arising because of law in force or terms of contract that you entered into. So any obligation that is arising because of the law in force or because of the terms of the contract that you already entered into is called as legal obligation. And constructive obligation is certain things that you are forced to do because of the policies and practices that you follow. Now you have this policy and practice that whenever a customer comes back unsatisfactory with the product and then returns it to you, your policy is to return the money to them, full refund. Now Mojo Pizza or Domino's does this. Whenever you complain saying that the pizza was pathetic, they pay the entire money back. So that is their policy and practice. So if you have such policy or practice, or if you have given some commitment, like Pizza Hut maybe saying that if I don't deliver the pizza in next 30 minutes from the order, then I would refund the entire money to you. If the pizza is free, or if the pizza is not hot, it's free. So because of your policy or practice or your commitment that you're showing in the entire operational process, if it is basically bringing in some obligation to you, that is constructive obligation. So constructive obligation arises because of policies and practices of the organization or something in relation to commitments made by the organization. So this is a obligation. What is it? This is mean by obligation. Obligation, legal or constructive. Legal is because of the law in force or the contract that is being entered into, or constructive, that is basically arising because of the policies and practices followed by the organization, or basically because of the commitment that's been promised or made by the entity. Now we basically defined the word contingency, and I told you if this contingency results in inflow, it is contingent asset. If this contingency results in outflow, it is contingent liability. And I spent some time making you people understand what exactly do you mean by asset and liability. But in the exam when it is required, you cannot write the meaning of contingency then to write the contingent asset definition, isn't it? So I would now define the word contingent asset and contingent liability to you. As the name of the standard goes, like first word is contingent liability, then it's contingent asset. I'll also write it as first is contingent liability and then as contingent asset. So let's write contingent liability. Then we'll define contingent asset. Yeah, so we know the definition of asset, we know the definition of contingency. We just need to bring in these two together to define the word contingent asset and contingent liability. Yeah, contingent liability is possible present obligation. Am I right? It's an obligation, and it's an obligation in the present, and it should be probable. Yeah, possible present obligation dependent on two things, isn't it? What are the two things? Occurrence or non-occurrence of what? Of three characteristics. First one, future. Second one, uncertain. And third one, uncontrollable act. So there is an act which is dependent on, there is an event which is dependent on happening or non-happening, occurrence or non-occurrence of future uncertain uncontrollable act. If it results in a possible present obligation, it is a contingent liability. Now, what exactly do you mean by contingent asset? Simple. It is possible asset. Possible asset arising on occurrence or non-occurrence of three terms. What are the three terms? First one, future. Second one, uncertain. And third one, uncontrollable. So if there is an uncertain, uncontrollable and future act which is basically happening or not, it can happen or it need not happen, and if it leads to probable asset, it is contingent asset. If it leads to probable liability or possible present obligation, it is contingent liability. So far we are done with the words contingent asset and contingent liability and contingent asset. Yeah, the name itself says provisions, contingent liabilities and contingent assets. So in the name, when I say what is contingent liability, we are done with the discussion. If the question is about what is contingent asset and liability, we are done. Now the question is about what is provision. Provision is created against contingent liability. Now what do we do with these contingent liabilities and contingent assets is the question. With regard to contingent liabilities, we have two options. With regard to contingent liabilities, we have two options. Option number one, create provision. Option number two, disclose contingent liability. Similarly, with respect to our contingent asset, CA is not chartered accountant or current asset, it is contingent asset. I have just used the shortcut. With regard to these again, I have two options. Number one, recognize asset or disclose contingent asset. So these are the things, these are the probable actions that we can do with regard to this. Okay, I'll draw the line in a different color. So these are the action points that we have, and this is the first reference to the word provision that we can basically find. So what is it? We create provision. Now the question is, when do we create provision against current liability, or to say contingent liability? Let me take you back to the example that I was quoting you people a little while ago. So I was telling you people that if you have a boyfriend or if you have a girlfriend, that boyfriend or girlfriend is not husband or wife. That boyfriend or girlfriend is a future husband or a future wife. There is a probability that they can end up being your wife or husband. You get that? So it's like this. Wife or husband is asset or liability. Girlfriend or boyfriend is contingent liability or contingent asset. So I'll quote, wife or husband, girlfriend or boyfriend, as the case may be. Yeah. So when we talk about wife or husband, they are like asset or liability. When we refer to this word, what is a girlfriend or boyfriend, they are like contingent asset or contingent liability. This girlfriend can become wife, this boyfriend can become husband, but as of now they are not your husband or wife, they are only your girlfriend or boyfriend. So in such a scenario, just tell me, a husband or wife, are they allowed to go home? Yes, they are supposed to go home. But can you take your girlfriend or boyfriend home? No, you might get slapped by your mom or dad. You are not allowed to. You get that? That's not the case. Similarly, what I am trying to tell is, house here is, what to say, balance sheet. When we have asset or a liability, we take them to balance sheet. When we have asset or a liability, we take them to balance sheet. We take them home. Whereas when you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, we are not allowed to take them home. So what do? We take them just till the gate and then say tata bye bye from them and then send them back. Basically, contingent assets and liabilities should be disclosed in footnote. in the footnote to the balance sheet. In the balance sheet, after you say the total of assets and total of liabilities are tallying, right below that you will only disclose contingent assets and contingent liabilities. You are not allowed to take them into the balance sheet, because for the same reason, they are not assets, they are not liabilities, they are contingent assets and contingent liabilities. They are potential assets. They can become assets, but they are not assets as of now. They can become liabilities, but they are not liabilities as of now. Do you understand the entire scenario? So assets and liabilities will go to balance sheet. Contingent assets and contingent liabilities should only be disclosed. That's what I mentioned here. But you have to create provision against contingent liabilities. You have to recognize contingent assets in the balance sheet. When do you do this? That's the present question. Now, we all know that we should not be taking our girlfriend, boyfriend home. We can only take husband, wife home. But you still have that impulsiveness, no, to take your girlfriend home, show her your house around, and then say, okay, see, this is my house, this is my living room, this is the dining place, this is the washroom. You want to show the entire house, isn't it? So what do? You take them home, but mom doesn't allow. So you lie to your mom saying that she is not my girlfriend, she is just friend, not best friend, just friend. You lie that. And when you say that, your mom might be like, okay, fine, just friend, no, take her around, show the entire house. So she'll let you. So that's what we do. So we will say to the accounts that, hey, this is not contingent liability, this is only provision, yeah. So we lie, saying that this is not contingent liability, this is provision. So contingent liability cannot be written in the balance sheet. I'll still stand by my words. Contingent liability cannot be written in the balance sheet. But we lie, saying that this is not contingent liability, this is provision. And this provision can be taken to balance sheet. This provision can be taken to balance sheet. Similarly, we will say this contingent asset, it is no more contingent asset, it is asset. He is no more my boyfriend, he is my husband. I am treating him like my husband. So he is on par. So when you convince that way to your parents, then possible. So you will not say that it is contingent asset, you will say that it is asset only, and then take it. So contingent asset, when it is virtually certain that will become an asset, you will call it asset, take it to balance sheet. And against contingent liability, you can create provision. That's a lie, saying that it is no more contingent liability, it is provision. Now the question is, when do we create provision? Here I told, no, contingent liability, we have two options. One, create provision or disclose as contingent liability. When you have a girlfriend, you can either, call her your wife or call her just friend and then take her home, or then disclose it to everyone that she is your girlfriend and then keep her out of the house. Keeping her out of the house is keeping it outside the balance sheet in the disclosure. Or creating provision is telling that she is just friend, lying and then bringing her into the balance sheet, that bringing her into the house. With respect to contingent asset also, we can either disclose it as contingent asset or we can recognize it as asset. We can treat them on par with our life partner. So that's the point. Now let us discuss when to create provision or when to disclose, and when to recognize it as asset and when to leave it with disclosure. You get this? Come on, that's the next discussion. When? Now the first discussion is contingent liability. Yeah, provision. Disclose as contingent liability. Stop at disclosing as contingent liability or create provision. When do we create provision? Now I told you, you will tell your mom that she is not your girlfriend, she is your just friend, and mom might let her come inside. Now if that just friend of yours comes with an entire bag of her entire toothbrush, say sleeping mat, if she brings everything, will she be allowed inside the house? No, she will not be allowed, because if she brings her toothbrush and sleeping mat, that means that she is going to live here forever. So there should be a probability that she will go out very soon. Only then she will be allowed to come into the house as a just friend. And second thing is, whenever you tell just friend then still bring in, your mom will be looking at you, staring right at you, expecting you to tell how long will she be staying. You should be telling, she is here to discuss Ind AS 37 provisions. Once we finish the discussion, once she understands her doubt, she will leave in the span of next 1-2 hours. So we have to specifically quantify, reliably measure the time period for which she is going to stay. Only then your mom will believe that she is your just friend and then she'll leave in some time. So basically, we'll create provision against contingent liability on fulfillment of following conditions. So there are two conditions. If these two conditions are fulfilled, then we create provision against contingent liability. So what are the two conditions? Number one, As I told you, there should be probability that she will leave. She would have to take that bag and then go back. She cannot bring a hefty bag. So the first one is probable outflow. Then even when there is probable outflow, when she doesn't bring her toothbrush and sleeping mat, she just comes with a small bag of books and then she'll leave, you would have to tell, no, like after how much time she would leave. So there should be reliable measurement. Technically talking in accounting terms, contingent liability means, see, we'll go back to our basic example. There is a pending suit against you and you would have to pay compensation if the case goes against your favor. Now, how much money would you be liable to pay? You would have to quantify that. You cannot write something in the balance sheet without writing it in terms of amount. If you write something in that liability column, you would have to write something in the amount column. You cannot leave it as blank. So in order to write that amount, you should be able to measure it in terms of money. Money measurement is the basic concept. You get this? So there should be reliable measurement. So with regard to a contingent liability, when there is a probable outflow, there is a case or lawsuit pending against you and you see yourself losing that case. So you think that there should be probably outflow of money because of this case. And secondly, you should be able to measure as to how much compensation would you be asked to pay by the government or by the law. So if you know both of these, both the conditions should be satisfied, not one, it is and. If both the conditions are satisfied, then to that extent you are expecting outflow, you can create provision and then write it in the balance sheet liability. You get that? Now when do we disclose as current liability? When one or both conditions are not satisfied. Here I mentioned these two conditions. No, one of these or both of these conditions, when it is not satisfied, it would be remaining just as contingent liability and we would leave it there. However, if both of these conditions are satisfied, then we'll create provision. You get that? Now, one more last important point that I want to make. Disclosure I've told, no. However, if not probable, there is no probability of you losing the case, then they need not create contingent liability. If not probable, then disclosure not required. There is some person who filed a case against your company, yeah, but you see that very remotely possible. That is not at all possible. What is say remotely possible? I want to say remotely possible or not at all possible. There is only 1% chance. In such case, you will not even disclose it. When there is a reasonable certainty, you disclose it as contingent liability. And when there is probable outflow and reliable measurement, then we basically go for recording it as contingent liability or say provision. Now we're done with the provision part. Then there's one more thing, no, that we need to discuss. That is contingent asset. When do we recognize it as asset and when do we disclose it as contingent asset only and then keep quiet. Okay. Contingent asset. Again, with respect to contingent asset, we have two options. Number one, recognize as asset, disclose as contingent asset. Now, when do we recognize a contingent asset in the balance sheet or when do we just disclose it as contingent asset? This depends. Point number one, when virtually certain the lawyer has not taken that and then hit the hammer 3 times on the desk, but other than that you are so far sure that the case will go in your favor, very very sure. So in that case you are virtually certain, then you should recognize the asset. However, if you are not virtually certain, when it is not virtually certain. Now, when the judge hits the hammer, it can go in your favor or it can go against you. So both of them are possible. Both the scenarios are possible. Then what do? You will disclose it as contingent asset only and wait for the actual event or actual judgment and then decide, or wait for the date when it is virtually certain. On this date, when there is no virtual certainty, you will disclose it as contingent liability, contingent asset in the footnote to balance sheet. You will not include as an asset in the balance sheet. You get this? And last important point, however, if not probable or if it is remotely probable, there is one case, it will never go in your favor. Just for the sake of filing one case, you filed one case and it will never go in your favor. You know that that case is dummy case and will be kicked out. So however, if it is not at all probable and not remotely possible, what do you say? Then what will you do? Then no disclosure required. You get this? So against a contingent liability, we create provision, and certain circumstances we disclose it as contingent liability. When do we create provision? When there is probable outflow, when there is reliable measurement. If one or both of these conditions are not satisfied, then we disclose it as contingent liability. However, if it is remotely possible or if it is not at all possible, not at all probable, then what do? We don't even disclose. That's the third option. However, with respect to contingent asset, what do? We recognize it as asset when there is virtual certainty. When there is no virtual certainty, then we only disclose it. However, if it is not probable, then we don't even disclose, we just ignore it. So this is the answer to the discussion regarding what exactly do we mean when we refer to this word provision, contingent asset and contingent liability. So in this discussion, we discussed what is covered and what do we do with respect to contingent liability and contingent asset. There is lot more pending with regard to Ind AS 37. We have to discuss as to what are the things which are not called as contingent liabilities or contingent assets. There are certain things which are covered in other standards, like maybe taxes, employee benefits or other things, and we would have to discuss them in detail. And there is executory contracts, little discussion. Certain part of executory contracts are covered under Ind AS 37, certain parts are not covered, so we would have to discuss that. And now we've discussed the word provision. We told no, we would have to create provision against contingent liability. Now how do we create provision? There should be some basis, no? So how do we take it, and what happens if the provision changes? When can the provision change, and how can you use the provision? Can the provision be reversed? Can the provision be utilized? Can the provision be adjusted? Can the provision be changed? So all this is the remaining parts of discussion in this particular standard, and we'll do all that in the upcoming video. So this is it with respect to Ind AS 37 as of now. See you all in the next video, that is continuation to Ind AS 37. So till then, stay in the game. Bye bye.